Hey pros, this is McCoy with Anime Studio Pros, and we are going to talk about the new update features in Anime Studio Pro 11.2. Let's check it out. Alright, so one of the new features of Anime Studio Pro 11.2 is the ability to export your animations as a GIF. So you go here to your format and you have your image sequences, everything else, but it's down here at the very bottom, animated GIF. And essentially what a GIF is that animation that you might be see looping on your friend's Facebook page or on someone's Tumblr. It's that animated image sequence that keeps looping over and over again. And Anime Studio in this newest update now allows you to be able to export your animations into a GIF. So going over kind of like what you have here, you have your same render options. And something that is important to keep in mind when you are exporting GIFs is you want to keep it small because it's continually going to be looping, and it's also going to be able to need to format or compress all of that image data into one looping animation. So it's a good idea to keep everything small. Right here you have your animated GIF options. So you have your options for your colors. I use quite a few colors because this particular animation switches transitions from one color or another, which isn't really recommended for a GIF. It's kind of a lot for it to handle. So I have mine set at 256 colors for it to actually process normally. But you have the option to do dithering. Dithering is kind of a technique used. I've been doing pixel art recently. Technique used for kind of shading in a way. I'll show you an example. So here is an example of an image that has used dithering. Like I said, you have your images when they have contrasting colors or when there's like a gradient or something like that. These aren't very large files, so they're not going to be very high quality, and they use a technique called dithering, which is also used in pixel art, which is a form of shading in a very, very minimalistic way. So the next option after that is transparency. That is, if you have a transparent image, you want to keep that transparency, or kind of like a PNG, keep everything transparent. And then you have frame differencing. I actually haven't quite figured out what this is. I've been exporting it with all these different options, and I can't figure out what frame differencing is. So I basically leave it just like that. I hit OK. I save it. Okay, and just pull up my image here. And this is your GIF. So it's going to be a continually looping animation. That's going to loop over and over again. So that's one of the new features that has been released that I think is going to be really cool. Facebook doesn't quite yet allow you to upload GIFs directly from your file into Facebook. So an alternative is this website here. It's called Giphy. You just go here to upload, go back to your file, bring it out to the other window or however, and then you go ahead and drop your file there. It's even got a little cool animated hand. So you got your file right here. Yes, you agree to the terms of services if you want to agree to it. If it's something commercial and you don't want to share it with everybody, then don't. But there you go. There's your little updated GIF, and then you just take that URL and you attach it to the Facebook like so, and that's basically how you do it. All right, so let's talk about another feature that I think is really cool that they added in the new update. Okay, so if you've used switch layers, you know that they kind of have this new setup with your switch layers, how it's kind of just little bars inside of your timeline. It's pretty cool because you can scroll over and you can see that it's highlighted, but it was very confusing on how to do it. When you'd want to move a switch layer, it would move the kind of not the one that you're wanting to move there in the old versions of Anime Studio. In the new version of the update of Anime Studio, you can now actually select the beginning and end part that you would normally if you were trying to move a keyframe. Say, for instance, I have this whole animation set up here where you have this little guy, he's catching his axe and he's speaking. This is using switch layers, as you can see here on the right side of my timeline there. And say that in Anime Studio I want to lengthen or shorten the length of each switch layer. I can do that by simply dragging across to lengthen or shorten. Before, in the other version of Anime Studio, now that I have this new version, I can't remember, I've been messing around with it, But it was a little bit confusing. It was kind of hard to be able to move your switch layers. You would move one, it would move the other, and it was very confusing. Now with this one, it also gives you some keyboard shortcuts as well. You can take and you can drag the center, and you can actually take and move that switch layer into another part of your timeline, which is really cool. You can hold control and move the left side of your switch layer if you're wanting to expand on the left side, or you can hold shift and you can move the left side if that is something that you want to do. Now another option that there's been added, and this one I actually don't quite understand, it's for your cycles. So if you watched my cycle keyframe tutorial, that's basically this is the same project file. However, now when you go and you right click inside of your cycles, you go to cycle, there's now this additive cycle. I actually haven't been able to figure out what that is exactly. When I think of additive, I think of adding substance or adding something more or better, but I can't really figure out what this is. So if someone would be able to find that out and give the answer, that would be much appreciated. Whether this is in the Facebook group and you comment in the comments, or on the YouTube channel, comment below. Either way, it'd be awesome to be able to know exactly what this is, because Smith Micro, or Anime Studio rather, they released the README, which I have here in my other window, but it doesn't explain what it is. It just says, hey, this is something that we added. So if you know, cool, let me know. That way I'll be able to share it with others as well. So something else that had been added that is very unique is what is called the bone sketch bone. Okay, and I'll show you how this works. So typically when you set up a bone, you have to manually go in and hit A and drag and drag. Well, Anime Studio now allows you, let's go ahead and highlight all these and delete it, to sketch your bones if you would like, using this sketch tool. So it's right here on the side. There's no keyboard shortcut for it as of now, but you can draw out bones just like that, and they are all connected. That's going to kind of mess up my animation there, but they're all connected through inverse kinematics. So that is something really cool. I guess if you want to be able to rig your character really quick here, let's do a quick example. I would draw out, oops. See, I'm already used to the keyboard shortcuts for the other one. But essentially, so you draw your one bone, and then you draw your bone going up. If you hold Alt, it's going to draw that, or if you hold Shift, it's going to draw that perfectly straight down. If you hold Shift, it'll draw that perfectly straight that way. So you can also go in, you can change your bone length. So for your default bone sizes, again, I don't really know exactly what I would use this for as of yet, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some really cool examples being shown. So there's going to be different ways that you can use this. I haven't quite exactly figured out why you would use this quite yet, but there it is. It's the Sketch Bone Draw tool. Another tool that's been added that I don't exactly quite understand is what is called the Snap Bone. Add snapping to the Add Bone and Transform tool. So snapping, when I think of snapping, I would think it would snap it in place. It would connect the two rotation points together, or the two pivot points to the rotation point there. And it doesn't. So I'm not really entirely sure what that one does either. You can, per the tool tips here, it says you can control, you can hit Control or Command if you're on Mac, to disable snapping. And I don't know exactly what that means, because nothing's snapping together in the first place. So again, if you know the answer, be sure to provide it in the comments below. That would be greatly appreciated. Another cool feature for switch layers, if you are doing mouth rigs and you're using switch layers or hands or anything like that, you now have the option to be able to switch through your switch layers with keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcuts you can also change under your help and edit keyboard shortcuts. You can come here to the scroll to, and it's going to be under here of your Windows layer. And there it is, your activate previous switch layer child. And you can come in here and you can edit those keyboard shortcut you would like those to be. A new feature that was added that I think is really cool is your new actions window here. So if you go into your window, your actions, or Control K, you now see it's completely new. You can filter it out by what you want it to pull up. Say you have a lot of actions and I want to pull up left. Well, there it goes. It's just going to pull up the 2 left. It's still separated by your regular morphs and smart bones. Obviously, all of these that I created are smart bones. You can now have the option to take and select multiple items in your actions list and delete them all at once. You can also hit Control Z to bring those back in case you delete those by accident. And you also have the option to sort those alphabetically. So that does create a new awesome action window here to be able to use for your smart bones and actions. Last cool feature that I want to talk about is now the Eyedropper tool is now over here. And it's basically select what it is that you want. You just take and you drag it anywhere. You can literally drag it anywhere and pick up that color. Say I go and I have this black and I draw out my eyedropper tool again and I was like, oh, actually I don't want to select a color. Well, you can just bring your eyedropper tool back and it'll revert back to the normal color. You can also do the same thing for strokes. You can pick any color you see here. You can do pink if you wanted to, and you can pick up that stroke. So that's a really cool tool. It's also located in your gradients, same thing. You can pick up your gradients. So those little tools there are very handy to have now because you can just drag and release over the color that you would like. So that is a quick run through of the new features in Anime Studio 11.2. There's obviously more. Definitely download it from the Smith Micro website. I actually wasn't able to get it just simply by going help and then check for update as it should. Before it says 11.1, you are currently up to date. So I actually had to go on, enter in my serial number, which is totally fine, and re-download it. But this is a really cool new version. There's a lot of cool new features, a lot of performance and bug enhancements so that there's not so many issues going on anymore. So definitely check it out. Check out the README and just play with it. And as you find more and more cool stuff, be sure to share with it on the group. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in other videos. Also, be sure to join the Anime Studio Pros Facebook group, a group I created for you to learn, share, and collaborate with other Anime Studio animators. I'll see you later.